Now we're recording like I was supposed to start half an hour ago. So in our mix master, we started with 1 cup of room temperature butter. We creamed that with a cup of sugar. And then when it was nice and fluffy, we added 2 eggs, 1 at a time, followed by 2 teaspoons of flavoring. So I did 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Sammy did a teaspoon of vanilla and then a teaspoon of lemon oil. Then in a separate bowl, I mixed together 3 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I combined everything until it just came together, and then per Sam's recommendation, I finished it with the spatula instead of my mix master. Now we're all caught up.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Back on mute, because we're noisy.
So now everybody, this is the easiest part. I'm going to divide my dough into 2 discs. I'm going to wrap it in plastic wrap, and normally we would stick it in the fridge for an hour, but because I don't want to make you guys wait an hour, I'm going to stick it in the freezer for the next little bit. We're going to do that, and as everybody catches up, Sam is going to take us to the next step. Getting a butter.
Yeah, so actually just before you split yours up, I actually did mine in 3 because I did 3 cookies.
Yeah.
Like I did 3 big cookies, so I separated mine into 3 discs so that I could take 1 disc out, roll it, and then get it back in the freezer, so which we'll get to. And I only took 1 disc out at a time, which keeps it easy to work with, and keeps the butter cold. So I suggest putting yours into 3 discs if you're doing 3 cookies, 2 discs if you're doing 2 cookies.
Awesome.
Also, the more discs you do, the thinner it will be and the faster it will cool.
Right. I didn't.
Also, just a reminder, if everyone can mute themselves unless they're asking a question, that just makes it a little bit quieter and a little bit easier to hear each other.
Mute? Can't be mute.
All right.
I'll clean it.
Give you guys a little mute there. Okay, so Sammy's recommendation was great because I had done mine in 3. I also did I have a prepared cookie ready from last night, and I did not divide my dough into 3 discs, and it was a little bit harder to get going. So great tip. And just in case you don't understand why we're talking about 3 giant cookies, the look of this cake is actually it's a cookie followed by whipped cream or buttercream frosting, cookie, filling, cookie, and then a ton of decoration. So that's why we're saying we need to make 2 to 3 giant cookies. So I am all wrapped up. I am putting my stuff in the freezer, and I am throwing this over to Sammy to teach us how to make buttercream.
Okay, so I think we should just give everyone a minute to just clean up their workspace, move over 4 cups of powdered sugar, a cup of butter. I forget how much vanilla was in the recipe. I think it was a tablespoon.
Yeah.
Some salt. And,
Did you say 4 cups of powdered sugar?
Yeah, 4 cups of powdered sugar. I like to weigh mine, especially powdered sugar and flour, because powdered sugar is like...
We don't have even close to 4 cups.
So measure out what you have, and the difference you can measure in granulated sugar and put it in the food processor till it looks like powdered sugar. But I really think that if you can, you should weigh it because it just makes everything more precise. And if you are weighing it, it would be a pound of powdered sugar.
Does anybody have a food processor we can borrow?
Okay.
So some people are just finishing getting their dough into their discs and just wrapping them up. So I'm just going to give you guys another second. Then we're going to get started with the icing.
I should say too that I hate making icing, so I'm really glad that Sammy is here to teach this because I usually get upset and cry while making it. So thanks, Sammy.
Let's just say I've been there. So yeah, just like a little food science stuff while everyone's getting ready for the next recipe. There are 3 kinds of icing: American buttercream, Swiss meringue buttercream, and Italian meringue buttercream. But then there's also like whipped cream that's been stabilized, or like Italian meringue, not Italian meringue buttercream, or Swiss meringue, not Swiss meringue buttercream, but like 3 buttercreams. So like buttercream is the same as frosting, which is the same as icing, all the same. So American buttercream, which is what we're making today, is butter and powdered sugar and vanilla and a bit of salt. It leads to like a really sturdy buttercream that like gets this kind of like hard shell on the outside once you leave it exposed to the air, which can be really helpful if you're piping, because then if you accidentally touch it, it won't like get a dent in it. It will look the same. Then Swiss meringue is like egg whites with sugar over a double boiler that then you whip air into and add butter. That leads to like a really light and airy. Oh yeah, I need those. Sorry, my mom just took something out of the cupboard that I decided I needed for decorating. It leads to a really light, airy, smooth, and soft buttercream. And the downside of American buttercream is if you don't mix the butter with a small portion of the powdered sugar, which I'll get to when we're actually doing it, it can get a little grainy, which is not the most delicious thing. And then Italian meringue has all the same benefits of Swiss meringue, and it's a little bit of a different method, really tricky, but it sets up rock solid in the fridge, but then when you take it out, it will defrost back to its like original consistency, which is why I love making it, but I haven't been making it lately because it uses a lot of egg whites, which seem to be lacking on the shelves at the grocery store. So I've switched to making American buttercream for my orders because that's my second favorite.
Have you tried Russian buttercream, by the way?
So I have not heard of Russian buttercream.
It's literally cream butter and then condensed milk.
Oh.
I know. It's like a poor man's buttercream. So
yeah.
So we didn't finish the sugar. Are we behind?
No, we haven't started making the icing yet. I consider that more of like a fudge. Like, I don't know, does condensed milk whip up to like something airy? It does. Okay.
Worth trying one day when you're out of ingredients.
Cool. Okay, so I have my stand mixer here. We're gonna get started with the icing. So I have just a clean bowl, and I'm gonna add my pound of half a pound or a cup of room temperature butter to the bowl. I took mine out last night because I didn't want to cube it because I just was lazy. So I took it out last night, and that way it just had enough time to thaw. And to that, I'm adding the vanilla, and I have a bit of leftover lemon oil. It's about a tablespoon. I'm adding that because I'm gonna do some lemon blueberry icing. If you don't have that, don't worry, it's fine. And then also add the salt.
How much of your ingredient?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the quantities in front of me.
I'm gonna throw it up for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, and then, so yeah, you're just adding the butter, the salt, and the vanilla.
1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
No, a tablespoon. A tablespoon of vanilla, not a teaspoon.
2 teaspoons. Half.
Hello?
Hello?
So, yeah, a cup of butter at room temperature, half a teaspoon salt, and a tablespoon of vanilla, all in the bowl of your mixer. So I'm gonna have to mute myself while my mixer's on because it's very high power, very loud. So I'm gonna finish talking now and then I'll turn it on. So I'm gonna put it on high speed for until I start talking again and realize that it's light. I really just want to lighten up the color. So mine's like a pretty buttery yellow. It should be a lot lighter by the time I start talking again. So I'm going to mute myself so it's not a really loud noise, and I'll come back when it's ready.
I will stay on for questions. Hopefully I can answer them.
It might help if my mixer is plugged in.
Maybe.
How bad will this be if I use margarine? If I
Bad.
just ran out of butter?
Don't
Okay.
do it, mommy.
Okay, if I don't have butter, any substitutes? I just ran out.
No, unless you have like a non-dairy, a non-dairy.
Butter works too. Margarine works too.
You do margarine?
I have an olive oil dairy one. Maybe I'll try that and see.
I personally did whipped cream, so I didn't have enough stuff.
I think I'm gonna wreck it, but anyways, here we go.
Sammy said
Estelle,
you can do
Yeah,
it.
so anything that's like a solid fat will work.
all right. Yeah, I'm probably gonna ruin this.
Just butter,
Anyways,
but if you don't have it, then yeah. Okay.
I can't believe we went through 5 things with butter this last 2 weeks. Anyways, okay.
I've been going through so much. I've made so much icing for orders. Okay, I'm gonna get to mix it.
Can we see the recipe again?
Absolutely. There you go, guys.
Milk. 1 cup of unsalted butter, room temperature. 1 cup. Here, 1 cup of, and 4 cups of powdered sugar. Thank you. 4 cups of powder.
If you guys have multiple people in the kitchen with you and you only need one person mixing, now's a good time to get ready to do our decorating. So we are cutting this into a shape. I'm gonna mute you if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get our template ready because what we're gonna end up doing is stacking our cookies on top of each other. You can do something simple like a heart. You can spell out a name. Sammy and I are working together to make a 72 for Israel's birthday. So I cut out a giant 2 and I'm using this for all my cookies because I want them to be exactly the same. So whatever you guys are making, now is the time to make a template. Regular paper is fine. Oh, I see some nice dough over there. Good job, guys. And then if you guys have any other decorations, now's a fun time to get those organized. So I have, because the look of this cake is basically it's topped with a ton of stuff. So I am also doing a blue and white theme. Surprise, surprise. Wait. So I made some fondant flowers because I happen to have Tiffany blue fondant because I'm weird. I also have some blue M&Ms. I have a whole bunch of different shaped chocolate and sprinkles.
What are the flowers?
What are the flowers? These were made out of fondant. And so I just made them last night.
Okay, it's not.
Now you ask her. We didn't really
What?
think because we didn't.
Sorry, I just had to grab a few things, but before I left, I heard Ellie talking about what she prepared on top of the cookies, so I can go through
Please
what I have. I don't know how much is going to be a repeat, but
Look what
so I have.
just now.
Sorry, I have some macarons that I made. Didn't turn out too well. It was my first time making them, but this makes perfect. I have some blackberries. I have blueberries. I have some meringues that I made.
Yes, just you can hear us.
Yeah, blue and white. And then I have some dried fondant magenta beads that I have an edible marker that I can draw a few designs on. And then I have like some sprinkles and some silver balls and some food coloring, all the fun stuff.
So when we're done here, Sammy and I are each going to decorate our own number and show you guys how these can look, but with probably 2 different aesthetics. Except we're both done. So.
We didn't catch how to make the flowers.
Oh, I haven't taught how to make those. That's why.
Oh, you did fondant flowers?
Very easy one. But is Sammy, is your buttercream done?
Is my what?
Is your buttercream done?
I'm just about to get back to that. So my butter is now nice and lighter. And I'm gonna add about half of my powdered sugar. I feel confident adding half of my powdered sugar because I'm using a stand mixer that I know starts really slow. If you're using a hand mixer, which only has one speed, I know a lot of them only have one speed, I'd add like a quarter cup at a time. But since mine has like a stir mode, I know that like it won't all puff up in my face.
Awesome.
So I added half of it, and I'm just gonna turn it back on and get everything mixed together. And yeah, I'll get back to that once it's all mixed together.
So in the
What are we supposed?
what?
What should we preheat our oven to?
Don't you will preheat it to 350, but let's just hold on a tick. You know what? Fine. Let's preheat to 350. And while Sammy is mixing up his buttercream, I will show you guys how to quickly make a fondant rose.
Can I just say something before you start that? Ellie, can I just say a quick thing about the icing before you start? Okay, so I've added half my icing sugar. And
What's that blue thing?
Guys, just listen to Sammy for 1 sec.
so I've added half my icing sugar, and at this point, it's really important to just keep it mixing and get as much air into it as possible so that you get a nice light and not grainy buttercream. So I'm just going to keep it mixing while I listen to Ellie talk about how to make the flowers.
So the blue thing is fondant, which I had prepared fondant from another cake I had made.
Did someone go cut out?
I'm rolling it into a little snake, and then I am going to, hey gang, okay, I'm just going to use a rope to flatten it out. So I've flattened it out. You could stop right there, but instead I'm going to take a sharp knife and I'm going to cut a wavy pattern down the middle. And that's going to be my petals. So I've got that. If you want, at this point, you can sort of thin out the top of your petals. I don't have a fondant tool with me, so I'm just literally using my fingers to flatten it out. This will make your flowers look a little more delicate. And then you just roll it up. Try to keep the bottom.
So sorry, we're not really sure how you got what you've got there in front of you right now.
This,
Yes.
I took
What is
fondant.
that blue thing?
It's fondant.
Oh,
The
okay.
kids asked me how to make a fondant flower, so I'm just quickly showing.
Oh, okay.
But it's not a
So
necessary.
it's not something that we've made.
No, you don't have to do it.
No, there are recipes for store-bought. There are recipes for fondant online, but I'm pretty sure Ellie used the store-bought one.
Oh, I did. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So by the time it took you to make maybe 1 or 2 flowers, I've now added the rest of my powdered sugar into the bowl, scrape down the sides, and I'm gonna get it back in the mixer, mix everything together until it's light and fluffy. And I haven't added the milk yet. Basically, once all the powdered sugar is mixed in, if it's not the consistency that you want, like you want it light and fluffy and smooth, like Skippy peanut butter. So if it's not like that, then you can add a bit of milk. Don't add all that milk. I forget the quantity at once. Just add a little bit, mix it all up. And then if it needs a little bit more, add a little bit more, mix it all up. You don't want to add it all at the same time because that might thin it out too much.
Great.
Okay, I'm gonna get back to mixing.
All right. Yeah, so I rolled up my fondant and it turned into a rose. All I did was just sort of to make it look more realistic was I pulled back some of the petals. And now you have a quick, easy little rose. So if you ever want to make a quick decoration, that is how I do it. So it's pretty quick because in this time, Sammy has already made a frosting. So if you've got multiple people in your kitchen, multitasking is a fun thing to do. I'm gonna keep decorating mine. I have luster dust and a regular paintbrush, and I'm just gonna make my petals look extra pretty. And so as we were asked, you can now get your oven preheated to 350. And then I think Sammy's gonna finish telling us how to finish up the buttercream, and then we'll put everything together.
So yeah, I have all my powdered sugar mixed in. There's a little bit, like, my mixer has a bit of a blind spot. So you can see that there's a little bit stuck to the bottom. So I'm just gonna scrape down all the sides, get everything mixed in, do a little bit by hand, and get it back into the mixer. I really just want it to get nice, light, and fluffy. And I just have a few more decorating things in the fridge that I need to, in the fridge that I need to get. So I'll be right back. But I'm gonna leave this mixing.
All right, Sammy, I'm just gonna tell everyone how to get our cookies in order while the buttercream finishes up. So at this point, your cookie dough has been in the freezer. It's time to pull some of it out. I'm gonna take one disc at a time. So we're going to roll out our dough on a floured surface. Floured, of course, so that it doesn't stick. So this is just like when we made pie.
My son just walked in and asked if we can make pasta out of this.
It would be delicious, but maybe not. Maybe dessert pasta would be nice. So I'm just flouring my dough here. And I'm gonna roll it out. I like a really chewy sugar cookie. I know Sam was saying he does more of like a very delicate shortbread. So I roll mine out anywhere between 1/4 of an inch thick and 1/2 an inch thick. So I'm gonna start rolling this out. And then because normally when you would then take your cookie cutters, you would cut it out here, and then you would transfer them onto your cookie sheet. We are making gigantic cookies. So I have learned through trial and error how to make this so that it doesn't all stick to your board and then fall apart. So what I'm gonna do instead is take my parchment paper. I'm gonna roll directly onto my parchment paper. So that way, there's no issue with trying to transfer your giant unwieldy cookie. So hopefully you guys made a template of the cookie shape that you would like to make. Once again, mine is a giant 2. So I've rolled it out to about 1/4 of an inch thick. And it is big enough, I hope, that my 2 can fit on it. Perfect. And now I'm gonna take a very sharp knife and I'm gonna cut around my stencil. I'm going to do this 3 times. You could do 2, but you definitely need more than 1. And so once this is done, as I said, I'm transferring the parchment paper directly onto a cookie sheet, and then we throw it into the oven. Take your time to make sure your cookies are all the same shape and the same thickness so that they all bake evenly. You don't end up with one really crispy cookie and one really chewy one. Oops. Okay. So now, instead of transferring the cookie, all I'm doing is getting rid of my scraps. And now, there we go. We have a 2. And I am transferring it right onto my cookie sheet. Now, because you don't want this to spread in the oven, I am going to take my cookie dough and I'm going to chill it in the fridge or freezer for at least 10 minutes. That way the 10 minutes that it takes in the oven will not completely ruin all your beautiful work with your template. So just saying that again, I've made my cookie 3 times. I put it in the fridge or freezer for minimum 10 minutes. And then I'm gonna put it in your preheated oven, which is preheated to 350 degrees for 8 to 12 minutes. I say 8 to 12 because it depends on your oven. But what you're looking for is a golden cookie with sort of lightly browned edges. That's how you know it's done. So after 8 minutes, have a little peek and see how it's looking. And now looks like Sammy's done with his frosting. So I want to see what he's up to over there.
So yeah, I've mixed together all my powdered sugar. I've added in milk as needed. I've whipped it up to a nice airy frosting, and I've actually added some homemade blueberry jam.
Ooh.
And before I did this, I knew that I was going to get a quite purple frosting as opposed to a blue frosting, which is what I'm going for. So I'm actually gonna add some blue gel food coloring. If you're dyeing your icing, it's really important that you use gel food coloring, because if you use liquid food coloring, which is sadly what most people have, like I can show you, like this is the liquid food coloring. Like this stuff, this will water down your icing too much, and it doesn't have as concentrated of a color that will get your icing to a nice color. So before I start trying to color my buttercream, I'm actually just going to taste that I got enough blueberry flavor in them, because if I have to add more blueberry jam afterwards, then it's going to undo all the coloring that I've done. So and I think I'm going to add a little bit more blueberry jam, just because it's not as strong of a blueberry flavor that I wanted.
That color looks so nice though. It's almost a shame to turn it blue.
Yeah, I don't know.
I actually like blue food kind of freaks me out. You're like instinctively not like your body and we're not supposed to eat blue food because in nature and in the wild it is poison. So if you ever want to eat less, you're supposed to eat off of a bright blue plate, and that's apparently an easy diet. It deters you from eating. But I'm surrounded by blue food, so that's that. So just so you guys
Story. So as nice as Ellie's flowers were, I got some orchids here.
Whoa!
Icing all over them. I let them dry out.
Did you make those?
No.
They're real?
Yeah.
Oh.
My parents let me butcher one of our many orchid plants, or my dad did. I did it without my mom seeing, but my dad said I could. So yeah, no, I did not make them. I do know how to make them, but I didn't.
I was gonna be like, don't let me make my ridiculous fondant roses. You're like pulling out sugar orchid.
No,
Ridiculous.
no.
Come on.
Don't worry, don't worry.
So I'm just showing you guys, I did not burn my cookies. I made chocolate versions because it's my husband's 30th birthday and he wanted a chocolate cake. So I also had to make some chocolate dough. This is not what your cookie should look like. That would be a disaster. Okie dokie. So we are going to start putting this together, but Sam, I believe, is going to teach everyone how to properly fill an icing bag.
So we're cutting out our third shape, like third of the same template. So that's where we're supposed to be now.
Yeah, that's perfect.
We can make another.
So I haven't actually colored mine yet, so I'm just rushing a little to get back to ready to fill my piping bag, but I'm not quite there yet. So yeah.
No worries. So I'll just talk everyone through sort of the next steps. Once you've baked your cookie, you are going to let it cool completely, because the worst thing you could do is make Sam's beautiful frosting and then put it on a hot cookie and then it becomes melted butter and sugar. So you're gonna let everything cool completely. I made my cookies a day in advance. This cake sort of becomes like one of those classic icebox cakes. So the further in advance you make it, the softer the cookies will get, and then it's easier to cut through like a cake. Hi, Joey. Oh, she's there. Hi, Mommy.
Hi.
Hey, Joe. Come say hi to all the bubbies. Okay, this is the time in class that Joey wakes up from a nap. We see how everybody's doing.
Hey, Jojo.
Joey, are you stunned right now? You can't have a cookie. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, see, there's great Auntie Fritz.
It was sad to see the beautiful purple go, but now I have a nice like denim-y blue, which I really like. So I'm just gonna scrape down the sides of the bowl, make sure that there's no purple left, even though it was very beautiful.
It's beautiful, but that blue's also nice. It's not shockingly blue.
Yeah.
Hey, boo-boo.
Okay, so I'm all mixed up. And now I'm gonna fill my piping bag. Since I've been doing a lot of icing, I actually have a piping bag that just has no more icing in it. But what you can do is either you can fill a Ziploc bag with icing and cut off the end, or what makes a more precise circle is a piping tip. So this is, I believe, a number 2A tip. I can't see through the bag.
Yeah. Oh, I have the same one. Hey, look at that.
Yeah, I think it's a number 2A, right?
Mine is.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just gonna fold back the top. Okay. And I'm gonna cut my hand in between the fold and the rest of the piping bag. Get a nice big scoop of icing and wipe it against my hand into the bag, like that. And I'm just gonna keep doing that till either my piping bag is full of icing or I'm out of icing, whichever one comes first.
I have a way smaller icing bag than Sam, so I'm probably gonna have to refill mine, which is always a messy ordeal. So guys, we don't expect you to be at this step yet because your cookies still aren't in the oven. We're just showing you how to put this together now.
So I can already tell that I will have to refill my piping bag. I really don't like to overfill them. I like to have a nice space between the end and where I'm actually icing, but I wanted to get as much in there so that maybe I don't have to. So I'm just gonna grab an elastic band to put at the end so that it doesn't fall back out onto my hand.
So while Sammy does that, I'm gonna start piping. So the way this is gonna look is you're gonna make just dollops. So this is like piping for beginners. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. We're just gonna apply pressure to the piping bag and pull up. And I'm getting about 2 across, 2 dollops. So I'm gonna go around the border and then I'm gonna fill in any spots. If Sammy has some better techniques or tips, I would love to hear.
That's really all I do when I'm doing just normal dots. There's a lot of fancy things that you can do with different tips, but that's really all I do. I don't know if you mentioned this because I ran into my kitchen for a second. I'm actually in my dining room with a Costco table set up. But what I like to do is take, some of my cookies are broken, take my cookie and do a bit of icing just on the underside, just so that I know that it's gonna stick to the board and not shift around while I'm trying to decorate.
I didn't say that because I'm doing this directly on the table because I forgot to buy a board.
I didn't have
So sorry to ask a dumb question. Are we putting this icing on the shapes that we just cut out before
No,
we
this
put
is
it in
once
the
your
oven?
cookie is baked and cooled completely.
Oh, okay, so should we be putting our cookies in the oven now to bake?
Absolutely. For 8 to 12 minutes, keep an eye on.
Oh, so finish up and let's get these things in the oven.
And so we're just.
I don't actually have a board. I have a catering tray left over from a not so happy event, but
Oh,
yeah.
okay, that works. So I've done my dollops of frosting. I put a cookie layer on top, and now I'm repeating.
Whoa, I'm so not there.
If you couldn't tell, I've made this cookie cake 75 times, so I'm getting quick at it.
I have never made a cookie cake.
But you're killing it.
Thank you.
I think you said you were going to make this out of actual cake for a client.
So yeah, I know I told you before, but no one else was on the call. The way I got my stand mixer was from a woman at Costco that extended a sale special for me. And she was actually going to order this. I like sell cakes. She was going to order this as cake, but it like never really happened.
I didn't realize you're still friends with your Costco salesperson. That's amazing.
Every time I see her, I say hi, but I don't know. She's never really like throughout the aisles. And I also haven't been there in a long time because
Fair enough.
we're all at home having fun together as a family.
We're at Costco. The Gong Show. So I'm just refilling my piping bag because, as we suspected, I ran out of frosting. Or I didn't have the ingredients I made. Whipped cream.
So I'm just putting my second layer on because Ellie is much better and faster at this than I am.
Faster does not.
But I don't know if she really said this, but it's really important not to press it down too much because you want to see all those nice dollops.
Excellent point. So for the final one, also Sammy's is going to stand a lot nicer because he's got a nice stable buttercream. I'm using whipped cream. It's a little softer. So this is the layer that you're going to see. So if you're worried about your piping techniques, this is the time to get really stressed out. But once again, it's getting completely covered in stuff.
Or you get to practice for the first two.
Or you got practice for the first two, exactly.
I think that's a better way to think about it.
Oh, my husband was very nice and preheated the oven that I don't need preheated. I was like, what is that noise? And the smell of gas. Okay.
So for the top one, I've never done this, but I'm talking off of pictures that I saw that I think some look nicer than others. I think it looks nicer when you do the top a little bit taller than your middle ones.
Just for a little bit of drama?
Yeah, just for a little bit more of a dramatic decoration style. And also, I think icing a cookie like this is a lot more forgiving than a cake because if you don't like one of your like icing dots that you just did, you can always just wipe it off with a knife, a clean knife, and try again, which I just did because I didn't like that.
Perfect. All right. So as we said, we're making a 72 together for Israel's birthday. So I'm going to start decorating and I'm going to show you guys literally throwing stuff on. So I've got some blueberries here and I still have luster dust. So I'm mixing it around. So now I have silver berries. I'm going to just literally drop them wherever I want. Sort of random. I'm excited to see what Sammy does with all of his orchids and macarons.
I'm excited to see what I do because I have no clue yet.
Fantastic. We're in this together, Sammy. I've got my fondant flowers that we made all together. I've made this in the past with fresh flowers, which is nice. Just make sure they are food safe. Or if they're not food safe, that you tape the stem.
So yeah, I don't know what a food safe flower is, but I've taped the stems of my orchids.
That works.
I don't know if they are food safe, but I did that just in case. So I'm gonna start decorating because I started a little bit later. So I'm gonna start with my macarons because they're my biggest decoration item. And as I mentioned before, I'm not too happy with how they look. So I'm gonna put the prettiest side up. So that was just two important things about decorating. One, always showcase the prettiest side. Two, when you're doing something like this where like, I don't like to say you're throwing everything on, you're strategically placing everything in a not so organized manner. It's important to do like the prettiest side first and the biggest items first. So I just did two. Oh, you can't really see what I'm doing here. I just did two, one at the point of my 7 and one at the bottom. And I'm gonna move on to my Jewish stars that I have, Magen David. And I think I'm only gonna do one at the head of the 7. And I have some edible markers here. And I'm just gonna do like a cute little scribble with actually a purple marker because I have some purple in the orchids that I wanna tie in.
Now I'm just adding every sprinkle I have in my deck. Getting really blingy really fast. Guys, if you are ending up making these at home and you decorate, please be sure to send me a picture. I want to see how everyone else's turns out.
So yeah, I didn't want to solidly color it, so I just did some stripes. That'll look good at the tip of like the serif on my 7. So I have some fruit here. Also, I have some blackberries and blueberries, and I'm gonna do a mix of those. Yeah, just adding everything.
I haven't looked up.
The more you add, the better it looks with these. Like I like the ones that like look almost overflowing with all the berries and the flowers and the meringues. Like I think that looks really pretty.
Yeah, this is meant to sort of highlight your decorations. The cookie is a vessel for your decoration. But now I'm out of ideas of what to do. So I think I'm done.
Oh, I wanted to start with my orchids. I forgot. Because they're so pretty. I don't know where to put them. I think I'm going to get rid of my Magen David.
No! Oh, fine.
Sorry.
It's acceptable.
We love you, Israel. I'll find a new spot for it. Yeah, I'll find a new home for it. I just needed to move it from where it was. Okay, I think I'm gonna do 3 little orchids. Okay, blueberries, where did I put them?
Well, on my screen too, Sammy, it's actually gonna look like a 72 when we put ours together.
Oh my, no, I'm the set. Oh, it's gonna look like that on your screen, not on mine.
Yeah, I'll take the picture.
I'm like, you're first and you're the 2. So I've added a bit of everything that I have except for the meringues, because that's what I really wanted to go a little crazy with and just cover the rest with them. So I have some blue and some white. I think I'm going to use more of the baby blue ones just to add a 3rd color to it and make everything really pop.
Yeah, I added my M&Ms and I'm regretting it, but it's done. It has happened.
Can you guys just go over how we're supposed to pipe it? I was a little busy cutting and stuff. How are you supposed to like make the dollops?
Okay.
In a bag, like in a Ziploc bag? If you don't have
frosting, yeah, put your frosting in if you don't have a piping bag, a Ziploc bag with a corner cut out is perfect. And literally you're gonna go down and then you're applying some pressure and you pull up. And that's how you make your dollop.
Okay, thank you.
It's like the most basic. right.
It's simple, but like really pretty and beautiful.
Right. I can hear Joey screaming. I think he's learning to crawl.
My issue with decoration is that I never know when I'm done.
I think it looks beautiful. Wow.
I found one at the bottom that I want, but I think I broke it trying to get it up to the top, so I'm just gonna hide that.
You can always like cut them in half too, and sort of show a cross section of your macaron.
Oh, not of the macaron, the meringues.
Oh, I can't see.
I think I'm done. I'm gonna add a few silver pearls, but otherwise, I'm done. I don't want to overdo it. I just want to add like a little finishing bling to it, and yeah, that's my issue. I always overdo it.
But that's what makes a pretty cake. If I tilt this up so you guys can see, no, that's gonna destroy it. I'm just gonna do this. So that's my 2. I'm excited to see Sammy's 7.
I'm like kind of aggressively throwing these so that they land on the icing, but it's not really working.
I can hear it though.
Yeah.
All right, guys, so these are just our ideas for decorating. You can do whatever you want. You can do just chocolate. You could do just fruit. You can do fresh flowers. Whatever you have, whatever goodies you like. When I do this for birthday parties, I do the person's favorite food. So I have to whisper. My husband's is going to be covered in Reese's Pieces and peanut butter snacks. He doesn't know where those are all hiding in the house.
So also like me and Ellie both went like kind of overboard what we prepared to decorate these with. But I think what would also look just really nice is a white icing with just a chocolate drizzle. Like I think it would look clean. And it's a lot less to prepare because I did meringues and macaron, which was
That's next level.
excessive, but who cares?
All right, so if you,
So,
oh my God, it's beautiful.
no, my 7's backwards. I need to switch my video settings.
No, it's straight for me.
No, it's a backward 7. Is it not?
No, it's correct.
In the camera? Are you sure?
What I'm looking at is a 72.
No, but the 7 is backward.
No,
Okay.
it's
Perfect.
Okay.
so.
Perfect.
Thank you everybody for joining us for our decorating party here. And thank you to Sammy for joining me.
Pleasure.
Again, you guys can check him out. He's Sam's Sweet Creations. Did I get that right?
Broken up by underscores on Instagram.
And we will both stay on for a few minutes if you guys have any questions. But please make sure to send me your finished product. I want to see what everyone comes up with.
Yeah. Ellie, did you get a picture or should I?
I have one.
Okay.
Did you put the Magenta bead on?
Oh, no, it's okay. No, it's okay.
All right. So that's it from us. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Here's my face.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ellie.
Bye.
Do you want to see it? Here, can I see her? Here we are.
Oh, beautiful.
We did our Lexi cookies.
Lexi, you want to lick it?
Yeah. I know, but I don't really like the grading.
Where's John?
Ellie said it wouldn't. Ellie?
Where's she sleeping?
I want to see Ellie's.
Ellie,
This is
how long does
stunning.
yours last?
What's in here?
In the fridge, it could last up to a week. The cookie's going to get softer and softer, right?
Okay.
This is gorgeous.
That's amazing. Wow, look at that, guys.
Beautiful.
Look at this.
It
Look
doesn't
at this.
look right.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Ours
Didn't
is going
have
to last
any-
about 4 minutes.
That's the best
I'm going to eat it. Look how beautiful.
Awesome. Great activity.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
So I'm actually doing my. Too bad. No, you cannot lift it, Brana. Mom just said we should put a doily under it. I'm like, no. No.
Leave it.
So I'm actually giving mine away. So I'm gonna ice up the broken one because I want to try it all put together.
Yours sounds delicious. Yours was the upscale version of my cookie and whipped cream.
Thank you. I thought yours was so pretty.
Thank you.
And like I love that you put in the time to do fondant roses. Like I was so not down to make flowers.
Well, you saw how quick and easy it is. I
Yeah.
wasn't drawing out petals or anything.
Facts.
All right.
I'm gonna go deliver a cake.
Go deliver a cake. I'm gonna go squish my baby, and we're gonna eat some cake
So,
over here.
I'm gonna go, but this was so fun. Let me know if you want to do it again.
Any time. Oh my goodness, we will work something out.
If you get pictures of other people's stuff, can you send it to me?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm ending the meeting. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
Ellie.
Wait, can you just say one more time not to lift it to my mom? Because she's still not listening to me. Just say it one more time.
Don't lift it.
I'm not gonna do it. I would never do it without him.
Then put the door. No, not without me. Just put the doilies away. Okay, bye.
Bye.